So hi beauties, it's just me by myself. It's Brittany Alyssa, and I want to share my experience with you guys. My C-section experience, because Lord knows, there we go. Lord knows, like, whew. Okay. So I gave birth April 23rd. My emotions going in. So let me be real with you guys. My emotion going into the C-section was that I was gonna die, and I wasn't gonna be able to see my child. The day of the C-section, I woke up. Well, how about I never went to sleep? I was doing some crochet stuff in my hair because I'm like, I'm not gonna go in there with my hair all messed up, and I'm not gonna die in a casket with my hair jacked up. So I did some crochet stuff to my hair and ended up going to bed around 2 o'clock, 2:30 or 3 o'clock. We had to be at the hospital at 6:30, 6:37. My scheduled C-section, my section was scheduled for 7:30. So I went to pick up my mom. My real mom's deceased, my stepmom. I went to pick up my stepmom because I wanted her there. She's been like my rock through that. She was my rock the entire pregnancy, as well as Danielle. Danielle.
It's not funny.
So yeah, I was nervous. I went to bed scared. The reason why I didn't get the Cerclage place was because numerous reasons, but one of the reasons was because I don't like being numb. The sense of paralyzation was just not for me. And knowing that I was going to have the spinal and epidural combo, I was just like petrified. So, okay, we get to the hospital, 7 o'clock. Woof. Sat in the waiting area because everyone knew who Miss Brittany Brown Anderson was. They had put out a BOP or whatever alert for my arrival because of the severity of this being my 4th C-section. I went in. Finally, at around 8 o'clock, they called me to the back. May have been 8:30. May have been 9 o'clock, actually. Actually, it was 9 o'clock. They took me to the back. I was told that 2 people were allowed to the back with me. Ended up, we weren't in a regular delivery room. We were in a place called PACU, where people coming from C-section and going to C-section stay. And unfortunately, only my husband was allowed. So I ended up being hysterical, like, oh my God, I was told my mom would be able to stay with me until I go to the operating room. She wasn't. She ended up staying with me only for 15 minutes. They worked it out because I was hysterically crying. Blood pressure was up. And after the 15 minutes was up, she left and told me to call her after. The surgeon we had met, great guy, very good at his craft. We were told that he was very good. That's why they scheduled us for April 23rd, because he would be on call. Boy, he was a character. He was really funny. And he ended up saying, no, there's an emergency. We're not going to take you to the back. But I was contracting because I was drinking 2 gallons of water a day. I hadn't drank anything since 12 o'clock. And here it is now at 9:20, 9:30. He came back. He was in his business attire, not even in his scrubs, because he had just came. I was his first case. We were told that they were going to push me back. I was like, whatever. Take your time, because I wasn't in any rush. And finally, he came back 10 minutes later and was like, no, we're going to take you to the back now. I started hysterically crying. Boy. I called my children. I FaceTime with them, and I told them I love them. And I had spoken to them and let them know that if anything were to happen, I love them, you know? I wrote in the book for Lake, and I let him know that I love him, and if I never got an opportunity to meet him, I loved him. So here it is. I'm standing up. The anesthesiologist comes through. Everyone's coming through. I'm signing paper, signing my life away. Hey, you can rupture. You can get an infection. You can lose a lot of blood. You might need a lot of blood from the blood bank. The blood bank was on call. And finally, they take me to the back. Now, when they take me to the back, there was a resident there that I had met in the hospital when I found out I was pregnant with Blake. And he didn't recognize me, but I recognized him. And I looked at him and he was like, you can lean on me, you can hold me, you can do whatever you need to do, because I was hysterically crying. They're like, why are you crying? I'm like, I'm gonna die. I was told I was gonna die. I'm gonna die. They're laughing at me like, we're not gonna let that happen. We know the severity of the situation, but we're not gonna let you die. So the resident holds my hand and he walks me to the back. Mind you, now there's a medication called clindamycin that prevents infections. Not prevents, cures infections, but it was for a preventative measure to make sure I didn't catch an infection from the C-section. Bless you. The medication went in stupid fast. I was supposed to get a spinal epidural combo. They tried to put the epidural. I have scoliosis and I have rods in my back. And they tried to get the epidural in. Of course, they had a resident do it. I was so afraid I didn't even contest. After about 3 tries, he couldn't get it. They ended up giving me a long-lasting spinal. And when I say long-lasting, they didn't know how long my surgery would be. They didn't know if it was going to be an emergent situation where they had to give me a hysterectomy, where I hemorrhaged. So they gave me about 6 hours of this spinal. I ended up being numb. They told me, hey, are you numb? Are you numb? Are you numb? Are you numb? They came back, rubbing. I wasn't numb. I was not numb for like 15 minutes. Now the surgeon comes in. He's ready to rock and roll. They have John Legend playing because I was like, please give me some music and I listen to my earphones. They were like, no. They played John Legend. Actually, it was Pandora, so everyone's in there rocking and rolling. My surgeon told me he would speak to me the entire time, and his ass did not, because he must have got in there and realized there was so much scar tissue. And then the resident that I held on to, who allowed me to relax during my spinal, was co-watching or whatever my C-section. Went in the back about 10 o'clock. I could smell my flesh. I can hear the noise. I was so dizzy and incoherent that I kept blacking out. I couldn't turn my head because I kept blacking out. I was catching anxiety. I let them know ahead of time, hey, give me anxiety medication. I've never been on anxiety medication ever in my life. They said, we have to get the baby out. Once we get the baby out, we'll shoot you with whatever you want to shoot you with. We'll sedate you. The anesthesiologist attending was there. The anesthesiologist student was there. And they're like, we're about to take the baby out. It's now an hour. No, when everything was said and done, it had to be about 10:10 when I finally was numb and they started the section. They got the baby out. He was born at 11:07. And they're like, are you ready for the anti-anxiety medication? I'm like, no, I'm going to try to bear it. I kept seeing them shoot medication inside of the IV, and that was because my blood pressure kept taking spikes. My oxygen was okay. I felt like I couldn't breathe the entire time. My breathing felt shallow, and I'm like, I can't breathe, and they're like, no, you're doing good, but I kept seeing them shoot me with things. The entire time I laid there, I kept thinking I was going to die. I was supposed to get a tube ligation. I had signed the papers. My husband had the papers on hand. I was so afraid. I ended up catching a massive anxiety attack on the operating table. Finally, the baby's out, and now the baby's out, and they're working on me. I can feel them pulling and tugging, and I hear the surgeon say, left, right, leave this alone. Let's leave this part alone. And I kept asking him, are you guys done? Because he was like, you're not going to be in there for 2 hours or 3 hours, because I was in there for 2.5, 3 hours with my other son, who's 7 years old now. I remember hearing him say, you're not going to be in there for that long. I'm going to get you out of there in 1.5 hours. An hour tops. 1.5 hours. I kept thinking I'm going to die. Donnell was sitting next to me, and I kept squeezing his hand. My mouth was dry. You know you're not allowed to drink because of the anesthesia. I had the people running out, getting me gauze with water just so I could wet my lips. The thing about my C-section, why I wanted it in the morning, why I wanted to be first, was so that I could look outside and see the sun shining, which was a beautiful day, April 23rd. As soon as I tried to turn my head to look outside, I started getting dizzy like I was gonna faint. Oh my gosh. I kept hearing the surgeon say, "We're going home." I was like, "Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?" He was like, "We're not done yet. There's a lot of scar tissue." Finally, after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of that, he said, "We're going home." And that basically meant we're coming out and we're gonna start suturing you up on the outside. Kept looking at Donnell, and I'm looking back at the baby. And of course, him being premature, I wasn't sure if he was going to have to go to the NICU. I had a 25-weeker who passed away, a 26-weeker who was in the NICU for 3 months, and my son who's 7, who was 35 weeks and 0, who was in the NICU for a week because he had water on his lungs from the C-section being so long. This baby, I kept looking back while looking up, which, of course, I couldn't barely move. I was in and out of it. Is he going to the NICU? Is he okay? Then finally I see him laying there, and they worked on him and they said he was fine. He had no water on his lungs. He was breathing. He was alert. He's going to stay with you. I was so happy because all I kept telling Donnell was that I wanted a baby to stay with us because the baby could stay with you in recovery. The baby stays with you the entire time, never leaves your side. I didn't want another NICU baby. For those NICU moms, you guys understand going to the NICU. You're numb, you can't get up and go see your baby, you have to wait till the next day. It's a lot that goes along with having a C-section and not being able to have your baby close. So I was blessed for that. Finally, they say, "You're going home. We're going home." They sew me up. They move the tarp. They tell Donnell, "Leave." I'm crying. "No, don't let him go." They're like, "You'll be out of here quick." All I kept seeing was like blood. Everyone who came to speak to me to tell me it was a success, I saw bloody hands, bloody blue gowns, or whatever you want to call them, scrubs. Their hands were full of blood. They were like, "We're going to wipe you down and you're going to be okay." Anyway, they wiped me down. I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel anything. They kept telling me they were moving my legs, and I'm so out of it. All I see is them moving my leg, my thighs, and I don't remember feeling crap besides, shit, I'm paralyzed. Finally, they wheel me out. I'm like, I made it, I made it, I made it. I'm so out of it. I managed to call my mom. I managed to call my sister. I managed to call we call each other sisters. We've been friends for 15 years or maybe 13, 14 years. She's in Tennessee. She was also pregnant. I called her because everyone didn't know if I was going to make it. Well, what ended up happening in recovery was my uterus did what it did when I had my daughter. It would not contract to stop the vessels. So I hear everyone saying, "You're bleeding a lot, you're bleeding a lot, she's bleeding, she's bleeding, she's bleeding." But my blood pressure was fine. I was bleeding a lot. My uterus would not settle down. No, it settled down. It would not contract normally how it should. They ended up giving me the medication to contract it. That still didn't work. They shot me up some things in my vag. Sorry, TMI for those of you who are watching. They shot me up with things. I had to drink some things, and every time they pushed on my stomach, I was still bleeding. I was in recovery till like 7 o'clock at night. The baby ended up having to go to the nursery, not the NICU, the nursery, because his sugar was a little low because he was premature. They gave him a bottle. His sugar was fine. So I'm still in recovery. They brought us back the baby. I want to hold the baby. I can't hold the baby. I was so gassy. It took about, I had the baby at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours for me to feel my left leg. My right leg, I started feeling in the OR. I just didn't want to say nothing to them. I was like, "Just get me the hell out of here, Jesus, please." My left leg did not have feeling for hours. I kept like trying to move it, and they were like, "You're moving it." I'm like, I'm not moving it. I don't have feeling there. I kept telling Donnell, "Massage it, please. I want to get out of here." I was bleeding a lot. Here it is now, Finally, at like 8 o'clock at night, they give us a room on the same floor. And the baby's with us, and Donnell's with the baby. And I don't have 100% feeling, but I have some feeling. And moving is excruciating because this time they didn't give me sutras or the stitches. They gave me staples. I end up going in the room and having gas, because when they operate on you, it's a lot of air that's involved with them going inside and trying to stop things. And I have a lot of scar tissue and them closing off vessels. I had gas all the way up to my neck. So I was in excruciating pain, crying. I couldn't even hold the baby. I was in such pain. The next day after the C-section, doctors come in, they do my blood, they go about their business. My blood was 10. After I had the surgery, my blood was at 10. I went in there with my blood being a 12. The next day, doctors came in the afternoon time. Hey, so you lost a lot of blood. Your blood is now a 6, and you need a blood transfusion. You need 2 units of blood. I don't really particularly do blood. I usually do iron transfusions. I'm like, hey, is there a hematologist? Like, come on. Like, I don't want to do blood. They were so rude. Ugh, it was a traumatic experience. About 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I'm like, yeah, I'll do the blood, but I want to be with my son. So I'll do the blood, but give me some time. They were like, okay, well, the baby was downstairs doing some type of test or whatever. We'll let you know what the blood bank says, da 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 da. Fast forward the story. End up doing a blood transfusion. And I felt better immediately because the whole day, the 24th, I was sleeping. I could not wake up. I was exhausted, and I didn't know why, because I'm like, my blood's at 10, I'm fine. I was exhausted, and they're like, you're showing the signs. I kept looking over at my heart rate, and my heart rate was like 120, 115. It's supposed to be like 80, 90, and it was in the hundreds. They were like, your body's showing the effects, because with your blood being so low, you can have a heart attack. Your heart will stop. You'll go into cardiac arrest. I know that having thalassemia and having severe anemia, because of the thalassemia, the severity of anemia. Fast forward, I have to be a mom. I have to get out of this damn hospital. I can't do any more blood. I left out of the hospital with my blood being a 7. Boy, I was so scared. I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna freaking go home and I'm gonna die. For some strange reason, I could not get death out of my head. Still can't, actually, to be honest. This story is taking forever, isn't it? Bear with me while I get this out. I ended up going home. Okay, so I was interrupted by Aunt. So I ended up going home, and I was scared. Going to bed, I was scared. I was just scared. The bleeding had stopped in my uterus severely, but of course, you know, postpartum, you bleed. I was in such pain. I still had severe gas for days. I ended up staying in the hospital. I delivered Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I went home Sunday. Saturday. Wait, I delivered Thursday. So the whole Thursday passed, gassy. Friday passed, I'm getting transfused. No, my timeline's off. Thursday I delivered. Friday what happened on Friday? What happened on Friday?
Visitors and the transfusion.
So then what happened Saturday? Because we left Sunday. I'm drawing a blank. I don't even remember. Like, I don't remember what happened Saturday.
Or was it the opposite? Was it the transfusion on? No, Friday you were feeling like blah all day. Transfusion wasn't until Saturday.
Saturday morning.
Yes.
But I left Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I did my blood work after the transfusion. And that was on Sunday because they wanted to transfuse me again. So Friday I was fine. No, Friday, this is what happened Friday. Friday, they got my butt up to go walk. And blood dripped. Sorry, TMI. There was blood all in the hallway, my leg, my slippers, my nightgown. Blood. I could not go any place once they got me up. I lost a tremendous amount of blood. They examined me, they panicked, everyone was panicked. That was Friday. So Friday I kept trying to walk up and down, and then Saturday I found out that my blood was extremely low. And I was like, was it because of the blood I lost yesterday? But I lost a lot of blood, so that's what happened. Thursday delivery, Friday get your ass up and walk. Lost a lot of blood again. Saturday transfusion. It was Saturday I found out I needed the transfusion, and I had it 12 a.m., which went into Sunday when I found out I needed another bag of blood. So yeah, finally went home, and of course panicked, of course scared, in pain. I was so gassy, could barely move, and could barely like take care of the baby. I don't do narcotics. I don't do medication at all, but I had to take the Motrin that they gave me, the Motrin 600, just to be able to function. And I was on that around the clock and wondering why I'm still like bleeding. Find out Motrin makes you bleed. Motrin also raises your blood pressure. So it's now 4 weeks. My blood pressure skyrocketed after I gave birth. 150 over 111, 160, 140 over 100. My blood pressure was all over the place, not knowing that while I'm taking this Motrin, it's making my blood pressure high. Oh my God. Finally, last week, I started feeling a little better, able to walk, able to climb steps. A week after my C-section, I had a C-section 23rd. A week later, that Thursday, they took out my staples. A visiting nurse. My scar ended up opening, which I'm still dealing with now. My scar is open. My doctor thought I had a uterine infection from the operation. Gave me antibiotics. I did not take the freaking antibiotics because the antibiotics made my intestines really not okay, and I was having bowel issues. Let's just leave it there. It made my intestines really bad. So I was like, I'm not taking these antibiotics. And she's like, the only way you're going to get better is if you take them. Anyway, seen her. All of a sudden now I don't have to take them, thank God. Scar is a little open. I'm feeling better. I haven't been on Motrin for like a week now. Thank God. Blood pressure is pre-hypertension. Not high blood pressure like it was, but it's pre. So I have to watch that to make sure I don't have post preeclampsia, or postpartum preeclampsia. It's been hell. Like, my life has changed so much just from having a baby and having a C-section. Being on bed rest, I'm still depressed because of it, going through baby blues because of it, not knowing if I was going to live or die. I lost a lot of blood, 6 units of blood. You can literally drop dead. Excuse me, it's dangerous territory. I ended up having to be scheduled for all these transfusions. I went to hematology. They wanted to start me back on my iron transfusions. By the grace of God, sorry for those of you who don't believe, but by the grace of God, my hemoglobin ended up going up with just 1 unit of blood. Last I checked, it was at a 10. I'm not sure where it is now, but it went up, and I'm still very anemic, but I'm here like fighting and okay. I got my appetite back somewhat. I eat like once a day. I eat like fruits and vegetables when I can, or like fruits, not really too much vegetables, but fruits when I can. And I eat like a decent meal for dinner because my appetite, it just hasn't been the same. I'm still like gassy, still going through pains in my belly every day. It's still hard for me to stand for long periods of time and sit for long periods of time, and it's been 4 weeks. After my son, I was like up and bouncing around. The day he came home, he was in the hospital a week, so the day he came home, I was up bouncing. The next day after I had him, I was in the hospital walking up and down. I didn't have these issues. But I'm here. I'm still traumatized from the C-section because on the table I had anxiety. Smelling my flesh and hearing the machines and hearing the surgeon talk about how much scar tissue there was, I'm traumatized. Like, I have nightmares sometimes about it. Not knowing if the baby had his umbilical cord stuck around his neck, I'm traumatized from it. Whew. People don't tell you this side of pregnancy. People don't tell you this part about C-sections and delivery. I would never do it again. I regret not having my tube ligation because of fear, but there is a non-invasive tube ligation process that you can do in clinic that I'm going to look into once I heal, because boy, I'm still in pain some days. But I'm blessed to be alive, and that's the most important part. No matter how much blood I lost, no matter the transfusion, no matter the operation, no matter the fear, I'm here and he's here, and we're both kicking and screaming. I promised him as long as he would fight inside of me, I would fight for him out here, and I have been. And I've been fighting to be his mom and to be Leah's mom and to be Aiden's mom, because that's what's most important. So yeah, that's my story. I know it's 30 minutes long. I hope you guys don't get too bored with it, and I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you guys look forward to my videos. If you guys have any questions, inbox me. I will answer any questions. McKenna works, the progesterone works. None of the issues that it said I was going to have that I have. I don't know if it works for everybody, but it worked. And I am going through a bit of the baby blues, knocking on wood that it doesn't turn to postpartum depression, but I'm okay. And I have a smile on my face today, and I've been smiling for the past week, even though after surgery for the first 3 weeks I was not so smiley, happy-go-lucky. But again, I'm alive, and I am blessed. And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my little baby boy, Mr. Lake August. He was nursing. I'm gonna burp his little self. I hope you guys enjoy seeing him, because I enjoy every moment of having him here with me. Good luck to those of you who are currently pregnant. Baby dust to people who are trying to get pregnant. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, beauties.